welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share my marriage green card interview experience in Washington, Seattle Tukwila office 2021, and I'm going to go through all the questions that the officer asked me and my husband, and everything from the beginning to the end of this interview, and I will share my timeline at the end. By the way, my husband is a green card holder, so my timeline is the timeline for green card holder marriage, which is different from the marriage to a US citizen. So I want to share this with you because when I prepared for my interview, I literally went through all the related videos on YouTube and I find it really helpful. So I'm going to do the same. So my interview was scheduled for 11:15 and you can only enter the office 15 minutes before. So my husband and I went to the USCIS office early and we waited at the parking lot till 10:50. Then we went to the office. And here comes my first suggestion. Find the correct waiting line to wait. Yes. So I went to the door. There was a huge line and I just waited in that line. And when the waiting is almost done, I find out the line we were in was for biometric, and the interviewee should be in another line. And thankfully we got there early. Yes, so we just changed the waiting line and just start over. So when it was 11, the officer let us in, and we need to pass the security check, and then we need to wait in another line to check in. And the officer there gave me a ticket with a number and took a photo of me, just me, not my husband. And then we went upstairs to the second floor and waiting for our number to be called. Here comes my second suggestion: bring your phone with you. The thing is, when I watched the related video on YouTube, a lot of YouTubers suggested that do not bring the phone, and I followed the suggestions. So my husband and I left our phone in our car, and that is the most regretful thing we did on that day. Yes. So we waited for almost an hour and a half without the phone. It was suffering, and everyone else played with their phone in the waiting room, but my husband and I just sat there and did nothing. As long as your phone is in the silent mode, it is fine. No need to leave your phone at home or at your car. Just bring it with you. The interview officer will call your number and he or she will lead you into the office, and then the interview begins. Another note is that they do not always call the number sequentially. I remember my number was K18, but the number K19, K20, K21 was called before us. So I was worried about the possibility that our number was called, but I missed it. But it turns out they don't always call the number sequentially. And after our number was called, the officer led us to his office and the interview begins. The officer asked our names and IDs. We present our driver's license to him, and the officer asked for my passport. I gave it to him. And then we did a vow, claiming that we would say nothing but the truth. And then the officer asked my name, my date of birth, where exactly in China I was born, and he asked the same question to my husband: his name, his birthday, where he was born. And the officer confirmed that we don't need a lawyer. My previous company offered me a lawyer to help me prepare the whole green card application process, but I changed the company a couple of months before the interview. So I stopped using the lawyer from my previous company. And I didn't ask for a new lawyer in my current company because I feel it was too much work and effort to transfer our case, and I think I can prepare for the interview myself. And the officer confirmed about the lawyer thing. And because I changed the company, there was a huge conversation about my work. What is the company name? What is the company domain of activity? What is my title? What do I do in the company? What does the team do, etc. And because I'm a software engineer, I find that the officer really know what the work we do. So when I mentioned I'm in the infrastructure team, he even asked if our team's product is built for the internal use or commercial use. I mean, that is a very professional question to me. Anyway, He also asked the same question for my husband, his title, what does he do, etc. And he also asked about my start date for the new company and my end date for the previous one. He asked about my school in the US and the school in China. And then the questions about us. Where have you met? My answer was a story because we first knew each other through WeChat, and it was our parents who gave us each other's WeChat number. And after graduation, I went to his city to meet him in person, as well as prepare for my job on-site interview. And the officer asked if we have any pets, if we had children, and we said no. And he asked about the wedding, if we had the ceremony. I told him that we had a small wedding at the courthouse, and we planned to have a big ceremony back in China, but the plan was delayed by COVID, so did our honeymoon plan. He asked about our major trips. Have you traveled together? I said we had 3 major trips. We went to Orlando, Florida at March 2019. We went to LA Disneyland at Christmas holiday 2018. The officer asked if we saw the snows and fireworks, some Disney Christmas tradition. We said no because we left the park before sunset. We were too tired to stay late for the firework. And we went back to China at Thanksgiving holiday 2018 to see each other's family. The officer asked for my I-20 and EAD. I asked him if he needed the original documents or a copy. He said he only needed a copy file. And he asked about the support documents. What have I brought? So I gave him our house title, car title. He asked if we bought the house together, and I said yes. And I also showed him the joint account statement, which pays for our mortgage. He asked if the mortgage is under both of us' name, and we said no because I had the F1 visa, which cannot apply for the mortgage. So the mortgage is under my husband's name, but we pay it together. And some other documents, such as our emergency contact, W-2 for each of us, tax return documents, photo books, social media screenshot. And one of the social media screenshots shows our engagement ring and the wedding ring. The officer asked if we brought the rings there, but I forgot. Yes, I forgot. So another suggestion, remember to bring your wedding ring. So we explained that because of COVID, we worked from home for more than a year and we don't wear rings at home. So we forgot to bring the rings that day, but it was fine. So at first I introduced every document to him and he said just to hand over all the documents, he can see it himself. So about the document, I suggest you have a label sticker like this and take a note that what this document's about. The officer really liked it. It's very organized. And yes, I think all the questions are done, so no tricky questions like the color of your carpet, nothing like that, just basic questions. And then he asked me all the yes and no questions, something like, have you ever been arrested, ever take drug, ever been to jail, ever commit murder, something like that. And for Chinese people, this is the tricky part. The officer asked if I was a member of Chinese Communist Party. I said no. And then he asked if I ever been a young pioneer, ever joined the Communist Youth League, ever paid for it. So this is the time that I got nervous because all the Chinese children will automatically join the Young Pioneer at their elementary school. So I said yes, and I explained that we don't actually have a choice. And the officer asked when did it end, and I said after middle school. And the officer took some notes about that. I think it's fine to join those organizations because basically everyone in China would automatically join those organizations. Just remember to tell the truth, and it is fine, yes. After all the questions are done, the officer said the interview was finished and he let us out. And at the end of that day, my USCIS status changed to something like the interview was completed and my case must be reviewed. After a week, I received the notice that my husband's I-130 was approved and I got an RFE because my medical exam was expired. So I did the medical exams and submitted that when I filed my adjustment of status, which was 2 years ago. So here's another suggestion. Make sure your medical exam is not expired before you go to the interview. So how to determine the medical exam expiration? So there's no unified statement. Someone says 1 year, someone says 2. But personally, I think at least you need to make sure the I-693 file is not expired at the time of interview. So there's the expiration date at the top right corner of your I-1693 file. Yeah. And 2 days after I send the new medical exam file and the RFE document together to the USCIS, my status changed to something like the correspondence was received and the USCIS is reviewing it. And then there was a really long waiting time after that. I waited for 20 days and then I find that my case status changed to case approved and the new card is being produced. Yay! So this is my new card. I already got my new card. So this is my experience. I hope this video can be very helpful. I list my green card timeline in the description below. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I'm happy to answer it. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye!